Hey guys, how's it going today? Today we are doing a basic requirements for a leopard gecko, and I admit it's kind of pricey, but let's start with the terrarium. So for a terrarium, you at least need a 40-gallon tank, preferably front opening, so initially they don't freak out when you come from the top. You need lighting fixtures and such, and then you just need enough room for them to not feel too cramped or not too roomy, for them not to stress out. So then next we will be talking about is hides. So the cool hide is basically to get away when they feel too warm. It's not much, it's kind of self-explanatory. But today we are also changing out the moss inside her humid hide. You need a humid hide. It helps them shed and such. And honestly, it's just very beneficial for your leopard gecko. I see some people who don't do it, and it's not harmful, but yet it still helps them. So preferably you will want to do it. And then here comes with the heat hide. Usually you would preferably want a rock, something that collects a lot of heat so they can bask on the top. And it's weird hearing something about leopard geckos basking, but they do. I caught her in the act one time. It was kind of funny to see. But that is a heating rock, and I do not like heating rocks. I'll get into that later. The requirements for a hide is on that slide if you want to pause. Then let's get into substrate. There's some leaf litter. I don't know why I grabbed that. It's kind of part of her substrate, so I guess that's valid. There's topsoil, there's play sand, and leaf litter inside it. Usually you would want to do 60-40, 70-30. But yeah, substrate is not that difficult to keep up with, and doing topsoil and play sand is pretty cheap, especially if you grab a big bag. But let's get into decorations, why don't we? So decorations, it is kind of expensive, but you can get sticks and add plants that are safe for them, and get sticks and logs and rocks from outside. And to be honest, it gets cheap if you do it. If you do it that way, it's cheap. But you just need to bake your decorations for it to be safe. Because if you put it in there just raw rock, raw sticks and stuff, they will probably have mites and stuff like that. But let's get into her background, because I know it's been in there in her videos a lot, and y'all probably have questions. But her background, I did want to do a self-made background, but she really likes her background, and so I don't fight with it. But other than that is the basic requirements that you will need for a leopard gecko and their tank. I'll get into why I don't like this stuff, certain things. So, Eco Earth as a substrate. I had Eco Earth one time, and honestly, it's not horrible if you can keep up with changing it out, but it's very expensive. It gets costly because you keep having to change it out and such, and it's a whole thing that you got to get into, because there's mixed opinions that it's good and it's bad. And then there's reptile carpet that I don't personally like at all. It rips out their claws. It can be very bad. It can mold. And then there's calcium sand, and they can get very bad impaction from it and pass away, sadly. I have never used calcium sand nor reptile carpet, so I can't give you a personal base experience. But with Eco Earth, if you keep up with your costly substrate and make sure not to feed them on top of said substrate, you should be okay. Why I do 3 hides instead of just 2, it's very beneficial for Peanut, my leopard gecko, because she likes it, and humid hides really benefit when they're shedding. It helps get their shed off by basically the humidity in there. I can't say much because I don't know much, but with a cool hide, they just cool themselves down. Same with the warm, like hot hide, and they will hang out in one of them more, and it's not weird, it's not odd, I promise. Like, they will choose a separate one to hang out in more, so you'll see that, and it's nothing bad. They either just like cool or hot more, and perfectly fine. Alright, time to get into food. I use mealworms, and I did use dubias until she didn't like them, and so she doesn't like many food. Your reptile is completely different. They all have their own personality, but I mainly feed her mealworms, even though diversity with food is okay, like it's suggested. She's a very picky eater, and she's turned her nose to multiple foods, so she just eats mealworms with calcium and such. But I do not use dubias because it's risky for her to choke. Not only are they semi-long even when they're small, but they're pretty wide, and I had to help her from choking and not liking dubias once. So I just personally do not use dubias. I don't use crickets anymore because they can have a chance of carrying a disease with them, which can also harm your reptile. So I just don't get crickets anymore. I used to have crickets, and they're also a pain. They stink. They're very loud. Like, if you like the sound of crickets, go for it, because they will be talking all night to you. But yeah, I just mostly use mealworms. But yeah, other than that, those are basically the basic requirements for a leopard gecko. And one of the sayings I do really like that I've seen when I was first initially researching for reptiles was, if you cannot buy it, please do not get a reptile if you cannot afford getting a reptile. It will benefit both you and the reptile. So yeah, other than that, stay froggy out there, guys.